Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast with two guys in their 20s giving their perspective on the games that we love and the story behind it all. I'm your host, William Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. How's it going?
It's a great day, man. It's going good. It's going good.
That's good. Well, we have a lot of topics to get into today, as usual. But to start it off, Houston and Golden State, they went the full seven. And for both games, in Game 6 and Game 7, Houston got off to a really good start. They had a 15-point lead in Game 6, and then Clay, scores a game high 35, and I think Golden State outscored them by like 29 or 39 in the second half. And then in Game 7, Houston's up by 11, and in the second half, the third quarter is kind of Golden State's signature quarter. They really have good runs in that quarter. And Steph scored 11 straight points at one point. KD had 19 points in the second half. Clay even during his with his foul trouble stint, that was kind of really like something that was kind of unexpected. So early, like having 3 fouls in kind of the first 3 minutes and 30 seconds of the game, but he was able to give a contribution, and Golden State pulls out the win. But with that game and how Golden State was able to win, and I know we're going to get to the finals preview in a bit, how they were able to pull out that win in the second half, and the contrast of Houston, missing 27 consecutive threes at one point. What were your thoughts on how it ended?
I thought the Rockets didn't have an offense based on it. They didn't have an offense based on anything else but the 3-point shot, and I think they got in a contest. We knew it was going to be 3-point shot against 3-point shot. Who can make it? Who can consistently make it? The 3-point shot. The Golden State Warriors, like you said, the third quarter is their quarter. It's been at the quarter since all this season, and we knew they're going to come out on fire because one, they're not even at home, so they come out with some fire to get them up. They were down coming into halftime, so I thought they didn't have an offense. They didn't do a pick and roll. They had Clint Capella on the baseline instead of him being a pick and roll situation with him. Get everything open in the paint, then dish it out. Don't dish it out. It was like everybody watched James Harden shoot. Step back, shoot. Step back, shoot. Oh, when I get tired, I'm going to dish it to Eric Gordon and let Eric Gordon dribble a little bit, shoot. Or PJ Tucker, shoot. They didn't have an offense that wasn't based on a 3-point shot. That's what got them in trouble. The statistics shows that they had a good game / bad game, but James Harden went 2 from 13 from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Eric Gordon had a terrible game too, but the statistics show that he had a great game. Defensive wise, he did.
And Eric Gordon, he was driving a lot more in the first half than he was in the second half. They kind of went away from that, but I don't know if it was that it was tired legs and they felt like, look, we've been an amazing 3-point team all season long. Why would it end now? But it's different in a Game 7 where the stakes are higher and you're going up against an experienced team that has been there countless times.
And a more experienced team who is more consistent in the 3-point shot, because if one guy misses, they have 2-3 other guys that can come off and shoot the 3-point shot and create their own offense. I think that's what Golden State did. Yes, they relied on a 3-point shot, but they created other shots off the dribble and into the paint. That's the formula the Houston Rockets should have followed suit. You're the best when you pick and roll and dish out. That's your offense. And I think the absence of Chris Paul showed that they need a point guard. This is why they don't go far into the NBA Finals. Once again, I'll say Chris Paul is one of the deciding factors that they needed this year. If they have a completely healthy team, Chris Paul was healthy, I think the offense would have been different. I think the outcome of that game would have been different, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the significant chances of them winning that game would have been much higher. Yeah, because it's almost like he's a calming factor when they become erratic. There was this thing of in Game 4 and Game 5 when James Harden wasn't shooting well, he made late game shots and his shot making was incredible. That when it wasn't going down from the perimeter, he would go to the mid range and he would have a ton of success there. And to me, that was kind of the difference in those two games and why in Game 5 when he got hurt, it really felt like it was almost a win and a loss for Houston at the same time in a weird way. It's almost like we have an advantage, and being up 3-2 is great, but we don't have like our floor general with us anymore, possibly. And I think when that happened, that's kind of when things started to change. Even though Harden had 32 points, it was off of 29 shots, and it really was an inefficient game. Did you expect a different performance in the second half, since it was kind of like maybe his time to show that or prove all the naysayers that look, he is ready for the big stage, and kind of just will his team even without their second playmaker?
I thought it was an absence of coaching from Mike, more so him proving anybody wrong, because James Harden is going to do what James Harden does. I think they, like you said, Chris Paul is that guy who calms everything down. If everybody missing, okay, I'm going to take a mid-range shot, get us back into the swing of things. Without the absence of Chris Paul on the court, Coach Mike has to step up like, all right, guys, let's run plays. Let's not everybody spread out and try to switch. Give Steph Curry on James Harden so James Harden can step back and shoot. Given some of those, I think they missed 9 calls that should have been fouls or N1s, but that's neither here or there. Your offense was non-existent. And I think as a coach, you have to call time out like, guys, okay, we got to run plays. We got to do better pick and rolls with Clint Capella instead of with PJ Tucker. I need guys flowing. Everybody just stayed at the three-point line instead of cutting, going to the rim, different things like that. It wasn't the play of James Harden. He wasn't that bad. I think the offense, a mindset they had during the game in the second half, especially when the third quarter, we know Golden State Warriors is a third quarter team. That's where they pull away in most instances. But for him, he proved everybody that he's not a clutch player. He doesn't deserve to be MVP.
He doesn't. I don't know about that.
He doesn't deserve to be MVP because MVP steps up in.
I mean, but the MVP it's for who had the most, the best regular season, and that's been the criteria. And it's by far James Harden. He had the best, regular season.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think LeBron James,
it depends on the criteria you're talking about. In terms of value, yes, like every year LeBron's the most valuable player, but we're talking about like
style of play. I think play too. It was the only thing that hindered him from winning was January. But if you look at it, the team that he had before January, the team he had after, he was unanimous. Yeah, should have been the MVP. And I think the MVP should transition into the playoffs as well. I know you have the finals MVP and all that stuff, but he didn't step up. He didn't step at all. And he's shown that countless times in the playoffs that he's not a clutch player. He's more so a regular season guy, and that's what showed up.
Yeah,
he's one-dimensional.
That is a take that a lot of people have taken. I'm not really going to say that. I don't really believe the notion that he's just built for the regular season. Like, I don't really believe that. For me, I do feel as though having Chris Paul there, we would have been able to see better aspects of Harden, and that's why they brought Paul there. But when it's just Harden again having to carry the load, we've seen that that's not something that he's really the best at doing. And to me, another factor of their loss and just what they kept doing, it was just kind of stubbornness. Like, they were just like, this is what we've done the entire year, and this is what we think is going to carry us through. And that's what kind of the coach D'Antoni has been, is kind of a stubborn coach. Is like, look, my system's going to work. I have 2 amazing playmakers, maybe the one of the best one-on-one players we've ever seen in this generation in Harden. And we're just, they're just going to have to outshoot us and outplay us. But there's things that Golden State does that are just not that, archaic. It's a lot more complex than what Houston resorted to do. And I think that's kind of what the final outcome revealed.
But going back to the criteria of MVP and a guy who you say he's clutch, he's just not a regular season player. You just mentioned that he's not a guy who can carry the team. That's part of being clutch. That's part of being a Kobe Bryant, a LeBron James, even a Steph Curry, even a Kevin Durant when he's with OKC, even a Russell Westbrook. Those guys are just not regular season players. They're guys who have been successful in the playoffs and gone the distance. James Harden has not. He needs more
Yeah.
players to be successful. That's why I say he's a regular season guy. He's a guy who could put up points, put up big numbers, look good regular season. When it comes to the
Yeah, I
playoffs,
mean that's what
he's
I'm
not
saying. Like
existent.
him putting up numbers in the playoffs is he still did that. Like it's not like that like dwindled in like we couldn't find like where he was. Like he still did those things. It's just the outcome was
I'm saying clutch player,
okay.
an MVP type player. Look at LeBron James, what he's doing right now. Look at what Steph Curry did when he was unanimous. He showed that in the NBA Finals. He showed that in the playoff run. Yes, he had a standing team around him, but even in the face of adding Chris Paul, he still showed that without a guy who can actually be a point guard and a guy who can lead the team, he cannot. Mikhail said it the best. He cannot be that guy. He's not that guy. He can't play defense. He's even though he had 4 steals, but he's loose on defense. They're not a defensive minded team. Dan Tony is an offensive minded coach. He doesn't care about
They were more
defense.
defensive oriented with the additions of Bob Mute and Tucker than they've been in the past.
Yeah,
I do think we can agree with that, even though Bob Mute wasn't 100% and couldn't play a lot in the series.
Yeah, and then we show they actually put Ryan Anderson in, and he didn't really do much. I just wanted him to give him the opportunity to see.
Yeah, but like we saw stints with when he was guarding Steph, and it wasn't pretty. And that's kind of what I was kind of concerned about. Like if you have a short rotation, you're going to be putting guys like Joe Johnson and Ryan Anderson on Steph, and that's just not the best outcome you would want.
As soon as Joe Johnson got in the
just
game,
look at the replays, guys.
Yeah, I think he got shook by either Steph or Clay as soon as he got in the game. Joe Johnson did. I was like, oh well, old Joe, young Joe would have been in there, doing damage. But I just don't see Harden being. He just proved he's not a clutch MVP type playoff guy. He's a regular season guy to me, in my opinion.
Well, transitioning to another big topic. I mean, or another big, segment or just another big moment in the Rockets franchise for their upcoming season. There have been reports that Chris Paul is already actively recruiting LeBron to come to Houston, and there's been the thing of maybe Houston could use one more free agent like LeBron to come there. And I mean, they'd have to give up a lot, probably Gordon, Anderson, and another first round pick. But they would be as top heavy as any team. I mean, a starting lineup of Paul, Harden, LeBron, PJ Tucker, Clint Capella would be a very formidable lineup. Do you think they should just stay as pat with where they are? I mean, they won 65 games, or do you think they need a LeBron?
I think it'll be a lose-lose situation for both parties because they don't need a LeBron James, and LeBron James doesn't need a Houston Rockets team. And to be honest, LeBron needs a younger team. And I think a lot of people don't understand LeBron cannot have the ball in his hand. He can't have anybody else with the ball in his hands but him. That's his game. That's when he's at his best. He's not a spot-up shooter. He's not you can put him in a post, but he's an isolated pick-and-roll type guy. He's not the type of guy to sit on a three-point line and shoot. That's not his game. If he went to the Rockets, his game would be, I'm Chris Paul and James Harden in one. Everybody spread out. On the hindsight, okay, let's play devil advocate. Chris Paul is still the point guard. Of course, he's bringing out the court, but the ball's going to be LeBron James in, which is perfect for James in a three-point position, but James is an isolation guy as well. It's like the same situation with Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Paul George. We know how that turned out. Carmelo became a
so you're saying it will be OKC-esque?
Yes, a little better, but I think the same mindset. It's Chris Paul and LeBron James on the same team. Both those guys are point guards at heart.
It would be bad. I mean, it would be a really good passing team.
Really good passing team, but it wouldn't be them. It wouldn't be Houston Rockets basketball. I think they're good enough. Add more rotational players, situational players, guys who can consistently shoot the three-point. They don't need LeBron, and LeBron definitely doesn't need them. LeBron needs a younger team where he can wrap his wings around those guys. And
but you don't think LeBron's going anywhere, so like you don't really think LeBron's going anywhere.
No, LeBron's leaving. LeBron's gone. I'm seeing it now.
I think so too.
He can't play with a team that he has to take over for. He needs younger guys. He needs to be around a younger team.
When did this change? Like when did your view on this change? Because I
this
thought you were.
entire finals.
Yeah.
This entire finals. And after they went and got Hood and George and all these other players it wasn't enough. It wasn't any young. They got 2 young guys in Jordan Clarkson and Nance Jr., but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for him. And I seen how how he had to take over he played every minute the last
game 7.
He can't do that every single year. 16, 17, 18. He needs guys. I think the ideal situation right now would be definitely the 76ers. Antoine Walker made an excellent suggestion. You should go to the Celtics. I'm still kind of on the fence with that, but I think the ideal situation is the 76ers.
I really think Boston's already set up for the future as it is.
But that would be a scary lineup. Get rid of Gordon Hayward, send him off. You still have Jason Tatum. You still have Jaylen Brown. Get rid of Marcus Smart, even though that's your best defender. Bring in Kyrie, still have LeBron. That lineup will be insanely nasty. And I mean that in every right way.
Yeah.
It would be a great situation, but I don't think Kyrie would be like, okay, I left you for
Kyrie's like, look, you're the reason I left.
Right. But I think it would be good it would be a good situation. That's a win-win. Win-win situation. He'll be still little brother, but
yeah, and that's what I think, like that type of aspect. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I know that's the type of aspect I think Kyrie was trying to leave. Like he really felt like, look, I am at a point in my career where I can lead a team. And I feel like Boston was an extremely ideal fit for him because he could have went to like a Phoenix, he could have went to a Minnesota, he could have went to a situation that wasn't as ideal as Boston was. And I just don't see LeBron going to Boston, but in terms of free agency, anything can happen, but that's just not one I see happening. But we're referring to the Celtics, they in their Game 7 loss, for the entire postseason, they had been undefeated at home, and they had a 12-point lead at one point in the second quarter, and they only shot 34% from the field and 17% from the 3-point line. Terry Rozier was 0 of 10 from the perimeter. Jaylen Brown was 2 of 13 from perimeter as well. Marcus Morris had a rough shooting game, 1 of 10 from the field. And it was one of those games where LeBron pretty much, he continued to trust the role players. He continued to trust Jeff Green. He continued to trust J.R. Smith. And Jeff Green kind of had the game of his life. And Tristan Thompson had a pretty good game. But in terms of how things kind of crumbled near the end for Boston and how LeBron was able to put on another magnificent performance and finally get help from the role players in a big road game, what were your thoughts on that?
I thought it was a great game by LeBron James, of course, but I also thought it was a great game by Jason Tatum. And he's continuing showing that he can be a great asset to any basketball team in the game of basketball, period, point blank, period. He's a great basketball player, man, tenacious, not scared of any moment. He embraces the moment.
Yeah, he's definitely not scared. He dunked on the best player in the world.
Yeah, and that didn't go unnoticed. Everybody noticed, even Mr. Morris, who screamed in his face, and also Mr. Tatum, who gave him a chest bump, a good basketball chest bump. Like, look, I'm young, but I'm here. But I think finally, as a great player, you have to understand you can't do it all by yourself. You have to start trusting your players, and I think that's what LeBron definitely did. He'll tell you that himself. And those guys came through. Jeff Green didn't have a great series or any other series in his finals or his finals run, but he stepped up. Jeff Green stepped up. Without Kevin Love, he had a concussion protocol. He couldn't play. J.R. Smith kind of made some shots. Thompson doing his defensive thing, rebounding. Yeah. It was a win situation for them. They finally stepped up as a team. But LeBron still had to carry the most of the load. He was shooting better. He was reading people. He's his best when he's picking and rolling and taking advantage of the smaller guy. That's his game. But all in all, role players have to step up when they play the Warriors, or it's over. They're going to get swept. No,
Yeah, I mean, for that series, they're definitely going to have to get help from the role players because LeBron, we know he's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of the thing. Like LeBron still being able to do this. Like, I kind of wanted to see a new team in the finals. I'm not going to lie. I don't know about you. Maybe you wanted to see another Cavs Warriors, but I felt as though Boston could have presented some challenges for Golden State just defensively because the last 2 years they split both regular season games, and even this the first game they played when Boston was on that winning streak, they were down 16. They came back and won the game. And they're, to me, Golden State and Boston kind of mirror each other. They both have interchangeable lineups. It's positionless basketball. They have 6'7", 6'8" guys who can shoot, switch, and create their own shot. And it's almost like they were ahead of the curve 2 or 3 years ago. Like Bob Myers and Danny Ainge had the same vision. And I feel like eventually, like they're going to meet in the finals, and it'll be an extremely competitive series. But for this game, the shooting, just the shots, they were getting good looks, but they weren't going down. And Terry Rozier, he had a better game in Game 6 on the road than he did at home, which is kind of a contrast.
Yeah, and I look at the point where these guys really have to step up. I know it's a reoccurring thing I keep saying, but the guys have to step up. It's no way these guys can win without the role players. Forget LeBron James, forget Tyronn Lue. The focal point is the role players. That's where the system, the ooey gooiness of the cookie, the formula to win, it lies with the role players. Yeah. Now we've seen the Cavaliers be successful when the role, but look at the series against Toronto. There's no way Toronto.
They just outscored them. I mean, in that series, like they were still atrocious defensively, but it didn't matter because they were amazing offensively.
Exactly. The defensive side we can live with, but they have to hit early and often, especially against a different team like the Warriors. But with the Celtics, with the Cavs, we've seen what they can do when everybody's clicking on all cylinders. They can be successful. They can be a difficult team to beat, but they just have to hit. You live and die by the three-point line. We've seen that with the Houston Rockets. Don't live and die by the three-point line. Just make your shots. Make your field goal percentage go up as a team. LeBron James is going to lead you, but it starts with them. Kevin Love is going to be back in the lineup. It's going to be interesting. And it's another thing. Somebody posed, not even posed a question. They said, the Cavaliers.
You're already doing the finals preview. I'm just saying that. You're already doing it.
I'm sorry, but I wanted to bring this up before I forgot. They said they said the Cavaliers are better or more successful without Kevin Love.
I've heard that. Yeah, I heard that.
That's crazy, man. He's considered the second best player on the team.
Exactly. Do you think they found more success with Green? Do you think it was one of those things? Because it seems as though Boston was kind of they were able to live with Love, doing what he did on the road. But when Jeff Green was doing what he was doing, knocking down shots, it almost seemed as though that was something they were kind of more not wanting to see compared to Love, because it didn't seem as Love, even when he was scoring, it didn't have as big of an impact as what Jeff Green was doing, because Jeff Green can even create his own shot at times.
Yeah. I think they didn't have a plan for Jeff Green. I think it was just Jeff Green's night.
Right.
I think he was hitting, he felt confident. It was just his night. I don't think they had a game plan for Jeff Green. I think the game plan was LeBron, shut off, give LeBron and parameters, keep him right here, and make everybody else beat you, because they know these guys weren't hitting. Kyle Korver wasn't hitting from the three-point line consistently. J.R. Smith, we don't know what J.R. Smith. We keep saying we don't know what J.R. Smith we're going to get. We'll see after the first.
We're just waiting for the first quarter to see which J.R. Smith is going to be, and then we'll figure it out.
After the first 3-pointer, we're like, okay, we might see great JR, but if he misses it to the left, we're like,
The reoccurring thing I think I'm gonna remember from J.R. Smith this postseason is I think it was Game 3 with the Pacers, and LeBron is clearly telling him to pass him the ball or somebody else, and J.R. Smith was like, nope, I'm just gonna take this three. I'm gonna take this three. I'm good. I'm good, LeBron.
Yeah, I'm going to take it. I need to get started too, LeBron. Gosh, you need me too, brother. Well, it's going to be a crazy situation for these guys. But it's It's gonna be interesting though. It's gonna be really, really interesting.
With Boston, last thing with Boston, with them finally being healthy next season, and with it's going to be hard to keep all these guys together because Marcus Smart was talking about how he doesn't want the hometown discount. Terry Rozier, his value definitely went up to
Yep.
possibly be a starting point guard. Real quickly, what do you think in terms of Boston's future with everybody healthy and what they also have to do with the other guys?
They have 1 to 2 years for a run for the NBA Finals. 1 to 2 years. Because they can't pay everybody. Marcus Smart is an asset that needs to be paid. Like you say, he no one's in the hometown discount. He's proven every single year that he's a great defensive player. When he's not in, it shows the lack of defensive presence that he has. He's one of those guys who don't give up on a play. He showed that even when he was playing at Cavaliers. But they have 1 or 2 years. Now, if they stay healthy, they're going to be a team to beat. They're coming off the bench. The starting lineup, first off, is going to be amazing. And then they're going to have a bench coming off. I don't think Rozier is going to be the starting lineup. He's coming off the bench. 6-man, Marcus Smart. Another guy's coming off the bench.
That's a pretty good 6-man. That's a pretty good 6-man.
But they have 1 or 2 years to be successful altogether, and then they're splitting. After a couple of seasons, Jason Tatum has to get paid. Jaylen Brown has to get paid. You still got Kyrie Irving's contract.
I don't think they're going to leave. Like I kind of feel like Danny Ainge is going to put those two as untradeable, even though I know that's not something he's shown us that he won't do. But I think he sees the future as being too bright with those guys.
Now, if he trades Jason Tatum, then he's insane. But Jaylen Brown, I could live without.
So between those two, you would keep Tatum.
Yeah, it showed. Jason Tatum he's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy. I mean, I'm not taking anything from Jaylen Brown. Great shot. He's a great shooter. He play pretty good defense. But Jason Tatum is a rising star.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
He definitely showed that in a game 7. I mean, youngest player, just 20. And to play that well in that big of a stage, it really showed his value and his, the sky is the limit for that guy. In terms of the transitioning to the finals, this is the 4th straight year Cleveland and Golden State have met. I think it's the first time in any sport where two teams have met for 4 straight times. But it also has the feel of it could be one of the most lopsided finals we've seen in a while. Maybe since the Lakers and Sixers in 2001. I mean, no, Allen Iverson was amazing, but still it wasn't good enough. Do you think with this series, it can be one of those where, look, even if LeBron is out of this world and just completely amazing and having an impact on every facet of the game, do you still think it may be one of those where it just the gap is too wide?
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, to be honest. You look at every finals that they've been in, even when Kyrie Irving went out, they had trouble with him, even without a KD. And when Kyrie came back, it was still a struggle, but they had a better opportunity to win because LeBron James didn't have to put it all on his back as a scorer. Now, you look at the team now, if LeBron James scores 50 points tonight, and then the role players don't do what they're supposed to do, they will lose. The Golden State Warriors will get the 3-point shots. They will create offense off the dribble because they're good at that. They'll probably pick a rub with Draymond or whatever the case would be. They can do anything and they can be successful. The Warriors are that good. But if the role players do not step up and make shots and play defense, then they lose. LeBron James can have 100 points like Wilt Chamberlain and still lose because guess what? Wilt still lost 2. So the role players have to do just that. Play their role.
I mean, he almost averaged 40 in the 2015 finals, and they still, lost in 6. He almost, that performance was almost like, if it went to a game 7, you possibly could have given the finals MVP to LeBron in a losing effort. Like it was like that good of a performance.
It was. And you can't take anything from LeBron, but you can take a lot from that basketball team.
Yeah, and with their role players, because I mean Iguodala, he's not going to be in for game 1. but we have seen if there's anything close to somebody who can kind of slow down LeBron somewhat. I don't even know if slow down is the right word, but can make him work more. It's been Iguodala. He had a really good, pretty much in every series. He his quickness. He knows LeBron's tendencies. The size and strength that Iguodala has. And I don't know if you heard this, but there's been the comparison of him and Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was interviewing him about their similarities, and you can really see like he's kind of at many times he can be the smartest player on the floor, and he has that experience and that wherewithal. In the past 3 finals, he's been plus 141, and then when he's not on the court, they're minus 68. Do you think that's not having Iguodala is going to be a huge loss for them because they can still make it up? But how big of an impact do you think Iguodala being out for a little bit will be?
On the defensive side, it's going to be very impactful, especially having LeBron James over there. I think the only guy who can probably match up with LeBron pretty decently will be KD, and I'm pretty sure that's who KD will be lined up on. To be honest, and even on the offensive side, I think he brings a different side of the offense and allows Steph Curry to run a lot more and have the defense.
He's kind of a point forward.
Yeah, exactly. Because he can pass well. He can find people open, and as well he can knock down the inside jumper. He's not big a 3-point guy, we know that, but he brings a different element to the basketball squad. He allows the 3-point guys to be 3-point guys, and then they don't have to create their own shot. So he allows them to do so. Draymond does a great job as that as well, as finding people open, allow them to be 3-point shooters. But Iguodala is a more versatile guy who can do it on both sides of the ball. But without him, like you said, they can make it up. But on the defense side, I think he's more impactful.
Yeah. The last question I have for you for this part, in terms of the series, how do you see it just playing out? Because like we know, the role players, they do not make it seem for Cleveland like it's going to be that good of a series, even though Golden State's bench is not that deep, but they're still Golden State is extremely top heavy. And the second question is, do you think this is the best matchup in the finals we could have gotten?
I'll answer the second question first. No, it's not. I'd rather see a young team play a well-equipped team on all cylinders. I'd rather see Celtics and the Warriors, to be honest.
You're so convinced. You're like, second question, no.
I mean, I'm just going to go to the second question. I think the Celtics would have been a better matchup.
Yeah, I do.
Especially Marcus Smart's playing defense on Steph Curry or Clay. I don't think they have an answer for KD, though. Maybe Jalen step up and match him, but I think
Clay-Jason Tatum matchup would have been really interesting.
I think so. I don't think Clay can stick him. I think Jason Tatum can. Yeah, I don't, because Clay's had trouble with Kyrie Irving. Clay's had trouble with James Harden, even Chris Paul. He's had trouble defensively. He has trouble. He's a decent defender, but he has trouble defending guys that are quicker than him and smarter than him, to be honest. But the second question, yeah, we definitely either one, either the Warriors or the Houston Rockets, but Celtics would have been a better matchup all around.
Yeah, I do think so.
Bench in their starting five for a quarterback court. And the first question, it all depends on this game, to be honest. Where the rotational guys.
Yeah, it's a tone setter.
Yes, they're at home. How will the Cavaliers bench and their role players, excluding LeBron, handle this? You've been here before, different team. Still have the same identity with a couple guys. How do you face adversity when you know you played crappy the last series, to be honest? And Jeff Green stepping up in the last year, helping LeBron out. How do you step up? How do you change what people's perception about you? How do you do that? You play well, make your shots. If they make shots, they can play with them. They can play with the Warriors. Now, if the Warriors are off, oh my gosh, then Cavaliers might have a chance. It's just so many. There's
so many variables.
Like variables.
Yeah, there's too many variables because it's like, do we really expect Golden State to be off for like an entire game at home? Like, I don't see that happening. But can it has happened sometimes.
Yeah.
Like we saw in Game 4, they just went ice cold. I think they only scored 9 points in the fourth quarter against Houston. And
Mm-hmm.
who's to say they can't go on an ice cold streak like that? But Cleveland, they don't have the switching defense that's going to force. It may force KD into playing more isolation, but I don't see that really happening. Do you think Golden State has? Do you think their offense they sometimes go through an offensive identity crisis with Steph and KD? Because sometimes it's like Steph, when Steph is just playing like he usually does, it's like, okay, we're really like clicking on all cylinders. But then they kind of want to resort sometimes to like the kind of the card that they can use anytime with KD and just that isolation style of play.
I think they're trying to find a balance so a team won't eye on Steph Curry the entire time, give it up, switch it around. Let's go with KD isolation or allow KD to see the court, and we're still allow our 3-point guys to get to the 3-point line. I think it's a balance thing. I think they want to be aggressive as well as slow the ball down. Let's isolate. Let's give KD the ball. Let's see what they do. I think it's a mind trick for Coach Kerr to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's a couple of players that like want to do that. I think they're comfortable with KD isolating and getting a shot off. I believe, in my opinion, it's a balance thing for those guys. But they do play well when Steph is running around the court, dishing the ball out and shooting 3-point lines. They run the pick and roll and the picks to get KD and all these guys over to a T. It's a thing of motion.
Yeah.
What kid? I forgot the guy. Steph Curry ran around. He gave him the ball, threw the ball
Jordan
through
Bell.
his legs. Yeah, Jordan Bell threw the ball.
Yeah, that was a great play.
Beautiful. That's basketball.
Yeah.
That's a 3-point shot, whatever. But they run it.
I think they ran it like twice. Like at one point they ran it twice, and it was just like there was nothing you could do about it
at all. And they run it so well. Even if you're trying to cut on an angle, they pass so well, and it's so small. Stephen Curry is so small, he can fit in the side. So it's
beautiful basketball.
Oh my god,
it's beautiful basketball. Like they play the most amazing brand.
Right.
Like you're lost for words sometimes. You're like, this is the brand of basketball that is the most ideal I've ever seen. It's just,
and it's drawn up to a T. It's beautiful. It makes you like cringe because I'm tired of seeing him shoot threes, but it's like, oh man,
it's still great.
You have the basket. Yeah, you have the basket. Like that's a pretty play, and it results in an all wide open 3-point shot, and that's their game.
Yeah.
Oh man, too many variables.
Yeah, it seems like way too many variables. But Game 1 should be a tone setter in terms of how this series may play out. The 76ers, this year that they had a turnaround season. What was the 3 seed, lost in 5 games in the second round, but they're dealing with a different situation with Brian Colangelo, the president of basketball operations. And they're investigating him now for alleged negative Twitter habits and multiple Twitter accounts. And some of these tweets involved questioning Embiid's ego, blaming Markelle Fultz's shooting coach on shooting issues on his former mentor. He called Nerlens Noel a selfish punk and a ton of things. I think another one with the Jahlil Okafor trade. We don't really know if this is like 100% definite that it was him, but we'll find out eventually. What are your thoughts on just the allegations and just the entire situation itself?
I believe this is not the first time this has happened. I think GMs do it all the time. It's their voice, and they try to hide behind it because it'll be scrutinized in the media for doing it on their own accounts. I think KD did the same thing. Yeah, had a same account. But I think it's petty and childish and juvenile. All the above. As a GM, you're the face of the organization. One of the faces, many faces of organization. Now you have 5 accounts, and it's so interesting. The Ringer, they sent out email to the 76ers a couple of times, and then he admitted to having one account. Then all other accounts went dead, or they kind of went in hiding and they stopped.
Yeah, they're private.
Stuff. Yeah, so it's kind of fishy. It's kind of interesting in theory or whatever. But if he did do it, why? You're the face. If you have any problems, have a one-on-one with these guys. This is what I don't like. Whatever. Be man enough to say it to their face instead of having these multiple accounts. Allegedly having multiple accounts. I know you have one. Allegedly have multiple accounts and doing it behind your back. You're talking about your own team.
Yeah.
Your own team. It's juvenile, man. It really is.
And I think all of the accounts followed his son and his son's college's teammates.
Yep.
I think the source like monitor. Yeah, I mean, like you said, 5 different accounts. It's really befuddling. If it is true, like just what are your thoughts on just the ripple effect of it, and even for more GMs, if things like this are happening that we don't know about?
I guess this is a part of trust the process, huh?
Yeah.
It's interesting because it brings you have all this momentum going into the playoffs and going into next year, trusting the process. You have these young guys, you have Markelle Fultz, and you need to it's so much momentum and potential that you have. This just brings a negative light to your organization,
a bad cloud.
Yourself. Exactly. Now your family is going to be brought into it. Your moral empathy, moral compass is going to be brought into it. Why did you do it? It's so much negative energy that your organization doesn't need because you haven't been successful as an organization since Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
So now you bring negative energy, negative posting, negative stories, all the above. Now you're under investigation. We don't know how far this is going to go, what the consequences may be. It's just stupid. It really is.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
It really is a befuddling thing because this team has so much momentum, like going for their future, and this is something that is just it's not necessary. Now, like I said, I don't know if it's 100%. We really don't know if this right. really was him. The investigation hasn't been completed, but if it is, it's really befuddling when you have such a good thing going for you. Like, why would there be the need to criticize like Fultz's shooting coach or Embiid's ego and things like that? Because Embiid is, he already is like the life of the team, and any like negative type of like vibe that you can spread around for such an impactful player and an impactful personality, it really is just negative energy that is generating something that is not healthy for the team.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how that plays out and what are the ripple effects of it. Phoenix, they have the number 1 overall pick for this upcoming draft, and most think it will be DeAndre Ayton. But there's also Luka Doncic, who, a European player, and a lot of times there's skepticism with European players, like Lauri Markkanen. Some were not convinced with him, but he had a pretty good season with Chicago, and so a lot of times there can kind of be the skepticism of like, we haven't seen a lot of this guy. Should we really believe that he's going to play at the highest level his first season? But with Doncic or Ayton, because I feel like Doncic would be the better pick, even though it's not the traditional pick. But when you have a guy who can be a primary ball handler, a distributor, get easy baskets, and is a versatile big, which I think is kind of what the league is moving to. Ayton is kind of just a post player and defender, and that's pretty much it. But you're not getting the distribution and ball handling. Who do you think they should go for?
I like Ayton, to be honest. I think he has. The only thing I have against him is can his play transition into the NBA? Like you said, the NBA is transitioning into a versatile big man. I think Ayton can do both. He can work in a post. He's a smaller guy, but he can work in a post. He can create his own shot, I believe, and he has great potential to play great defense. I think this season it kind of eluded that notion. It was eluded from him because of allegations and different things like that, and him not stepping up in big games. But I think he could be that guy. I think the Phoenix Suns need Ayton. To be honest, He has so much potential. He can push it to, but the only thing the knack against him, he's a smaller guy, and how he's going to match up with a guy like Draymond Green or Anthony Davis or even DeMarcus Cousins. Those are bigger guys, stronger guys who are aggressive in the paint and who can play great defense. So that I think my only knock against him will be, can he transition his basketball style into the NBA? And I think that's going to be the number one red mark against him.
So you don't really,
Ayton's going to be a good guy.
so you don't really buy Doncic.
No, I like Ayton. I like how he plays.
Yeah.
I like his playing style. But the only thing, like I said, can he transition that into the NBA? And that's going to be the task for him and the test for him. I think he can step up and make that transitional smooth.
So yeah, so with Doncic, do you feel like it's one of those things where it's kind of because he's played against grown men? I mean, he's in terms of, I mean, playing the European Cup, he's played with Dragic, he's played with Porzingis. What I'm saying is he's played with like NBA talent already. Do you think that can kind of be an advantage too, or do you think that's can't really translate it for the league?
It could. I mean, that's a nice upside for his game.
Right.
You can make an argument for that. He played, like you said, he plays grown men, plays with NBA players already. But I don't know. I think transitioning into that, it might be better for him. But I don't know. I'm sold on Ayton for some reason. I don't know. I like his style of play. Not taking anything from him, but I don't know. It's kind of a situation where you have to toss a coin, flip a coin, because both players are great, both players are good, but can they transition? That's always the question. Can they transition into the NBA? And if I was a GM, I would definitely flip a coin because it's so close. But
Yeah.
hopefully, fate shows that Ayton is the better player to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't agree, but
Of course, you don't agree. Of course, you don't agree with
I'm gonna go with Doncic. But
why is that? Why is that?
No, the only reason it sounds bad to say it sounds bad to say, oh, Ayton is not the better player. I'm not saying either one's the better player. I'm just saying the better fit. Maybe that's the better way to put it, because
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because like when you put him with Devin Booker, Josh Jackson, guys like that, I just don't know if Ayton is the fit that's needed for today's league. Like that's the only thing I'm saying with Ayton, because I think Ayton can be a talent, extreme talent, but the Suns, they need a point guard, they need a center, and so the center position is going to be crucial. Like whoever you pick, I mean, that's going to be kind of your future, and so that's why I think it's such a pivotal move to go with somebody who is versatile and does present the aspects that are used with today's big men. Because if you're kind of one dimensional, that can kind of be a deterrent in terms of what a young team's future is.
Interesting perspective, Wellington.
I know it's a wild card. Wild card because he is he is European and we haven't seen a lot of him. But I just think the things that he can present can be an upside for Phoenix. Transitioning to the NFL, Dak Prescott took the league by storm his first year. His second year wasn't as good. In terms of the new wide receiving core he's going to have this past season, his yards per attempt dropped by over a yard from 8.0 to 6.8. His completion percentage dropped by almost 5 percentage points from 67.8 to 62.9. He threw fewer touchdown passes, 13 interceptions, only had 4 last year. But with Jason Witten retiring, Dez Bryant not having as good of a season last year and him, his departure, do you think this is going to be his team now? And and what are your concerns about his regression his second year? Or do you think he'll just turn it around for the season?
Well, it's like always going to be different variables that plays a role into him even having a bad, mediocre, or great season. The one outstanding variable that happens to be in his backfield is Ezekiel Elliott is back and not suspended. He will be there all 16 games, if not injured. He's pretty durable. So you'll have your starting running back and one of your best receivers back. So I think he makes up for Des Bryant just a little. He's going to have some young guys around him, man. So I think it's going to be a rebuilding stage. You still have Terrence Williams, who could be a deep ball threat, but it's going to be an extremely young wide receiver core. They went and got some tight end to try to replace Jason Witten. They drafted well, I believe. You go get Boy Scarborough to run it back to back him up. You get couple wide receivers, Cedric Wilson from Boise State. You get Chris Covington for the linebacker position. You get Mike White. I don't know why they got Mike White Willington.
Yeah.
Why did they get Mike White Willington? I'm sorry. I don't know why. That was baffling.
That was kind of puzzling.
Yeah. Then they get Dalton Schultz for a tight end position to try to make up for Jason Witten, and they get Gathers from another place. It's going to be an extremely young team. The oldest guy on the team is Shanley Dan Bailey.
Wow.
All other guys are below 25, 26 years old. So they're going to be an extremely young team. It's going to be a rebuilding stage for the offense. Not the running game. You still have your big horses up front on line. The running game is going to be perfect. It's coming in and making sure the wide receivers on the same level. And can Dak read better? I think
I mean, one of the things that was interesting with Dez, I mean, he was a receiver who ran precisely run routes, and he could win the 50-50 battle. And so that would accentuate Dak's accuracy. Do you think that's kind of what Dak needs, or does it not really matter because he's growing with his accuracy development?
I think he still needs to work on it, to be honest. And having a wide receiver who runs precise routes, it's upside. But I think his vision is into play. It's a couple times he missed wide open receivers running down the field. I remember one play against the Green Bay Packers, he missed Jason Witten right up the field with his hands up, and he goes to the sideline to Des Bryant. I think him reading and understanding the field, the first season, we thought, okay, this guy cannot make a mistake. He reads through his progressions. He's accurate on deep balls. That's not the case. He's not accurate. He's more accurate on short, medium range plays. He has to go through his progressions and read the entire field. I know you only have 3 to 5 seconds. The offensive line will give you enough time, but to his aid, I feel like the running game wasn't present due to many factors. Them not running the ball as much because Ezekiel wasn't there, or the running game was not a factor. A couple games it was, but having Zeke back in the backfield, I think it gives him a boost of encouragement and confidence, because now it's a different ball game when you playing for Ezekiel Elliott. Now they take some pressure off you. It's different things that played a role in him not having the best season he could have had in the second. But now Zeke's back, offensive line back, so it's up to him. It really is up to him how he progresses, obviously.
Yeah, definitely, and that's going to be pivotal. Our last topic for today is Lionel Messi in Argentina.
Messi.
You're a Messi fan. I'm taking it you're a Messi fan.
I like Messi. He's a great player, man.
Yeah.
I only watch soccer because if he's in like the World Cup, that's the only way I watch soccer.
That's interesting because it's like usually when I'm watching, it's because of Ronaldo.
Oh, here we go.
We're half.
Yeah.
But Messi, he hit a hat trick versus Haiti in a 4-0 friendly win on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And with Argentina, that they arguably have the best player in the world. They have really versatile forwards with Angel Di Maria, Sergio Aguero, Gomala. I probably messed up that name. Gomala Nigueria. But
that's pretty good.
Yep, I try. But with the fact that they kind of had key injuries, and in terms of the fact that in 2006 and 2010 he scored only once in the World Cup. In Group D they have a pretty good Iceland team, a dangerous Croatia, and a Nigeria team that they've been used to seeing. But they're favorites in this group. But in terms of having a deep run, like you have teams like Germany, France, Belgium, even Brazil trying to recover from that 7-1 loss against Germany that was, just devastating in 2014. What are your chances with Messi and that you think Messi and Argentina have in the World Cup?
I think Messi said it the best, man. Quote, I am grateful to all the people we always felt the affection of all, not like other teams that we receive insults. Said Messi, who took his, and then he will go. We all go to Russia for the same reason. The World Cup is a dream of us. The country, we're not candidates, but we are very good, training and improving day by day. I think that's the most humbling quote that has ever been said in soccer or any sport. I understand we're not the favorites and we're not, good in some eyes, but we're working towards it and we can make a run for the money. We're not the favorites right now, but we can still make a run. I think that quote is the best explanation that anyone can give.
Yeah.
When Messi's on the field, I feel better. And he's healthy. Just had a hat trick, man.
Yeah.
I will not count Argentina out just because they have him. He's LeBron. He's Michael. He's Kobe in soccer. The guy is amazing. I think they have a great chance. They have to get past Croatia, though.
Croatia, yeah, definitely.
Croatia, sorry.
Do you think because he was really close, I think, in the last World Cup to winning it. Did they play Germany in the final?
I think they did. I think it was 2014, correct?
Yeah, 2014. But he got extremely close to the last one. And obviously I've heard from a lot that this is really the only thing that's missing. Like this is really it because he won the Copa del Rey and La Liga titles for Barcelona, and he's kind of been doing what we've seen with what LeBron does in the regular season. He's been resting more to get ready for the World Cup. So do you think just the legacy on the line and the fact that he's been conserving more energy with Barcelona is kind of the buildup for this World Cup?
Possibly. I mean, you could definitely make an argument what we're making now. I think him getting more rest will be better in the long run, and we'll see it here coming shortly.
Yeah,
because you don't want to gas out your best player, especially in soccer, man. I played soccer one time and I died 5 times.
It's rough. I mean, it's physically really demanding.
It's demanding than any other sport in my opinion. So him resting and getting the necessary precautionary measures going before going into this run for the World Cup, I think it's beneficial for him and the team, especially the fans of Argentina. They deserve it more than Messi does. But going back to his legacy, I don't think this takes anything from his legacy.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It will add him in a place where he's a top guy. He's the top guy in soccer. He will always be in the Hall of Fame of soccer. But him adding this, him winning and the team winning the World Cup, oh man, you probably won't tell me nothing. I don't know much about Messi, but Messi.
Yeah, that would be the cherry on the top.
Right.
But as we close this out, overall, is there a favorite you're liking in the World Cup right now? Is there a certain team, or is it still kind of not as clear?
I want to go with the fan favorites, but I like the underdogs, man. I love underdog stories, and Argentina is definitely an underdog, even in the Group D, with Iceland and all these other teams. So I'm going to pick Argentina because they're the underdog. They're not the favorite, and I don't think they're the favorite in the Group D either, especially with Brazil and Germany and Russia over there. So I think I'm gonna give it to Argentina because they're underdogs. I love a good underdog story, and it's messy.
It is so tough because I'm conflicted between Germany and Belgium.
Yeah.
Because like Germany, like it's not so much their like star power, but it's like how they have really strong, frontline players. They have a really good midfield, and that outdoes the individual talent. And I think we saw that against Brazil, where even though Brazil had Neymar, their strong frontline players kind of outdid that and what they were able to do with their attack. So I'd probably give them the edge, even though I think Belgium can also be really good. So it'll definitely be interesting. When does it start?
I think Pull up, I pull. It doesn't tell me. My
Probably in a
nose
couple
doesn't
weeks
tell.
though.
Yeah, probably in
Yeah.
a couple weeks. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting to see how to see the start of that. Well, that wraps it up for today. I'm your host, Winter Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. This has been Full Scope. See you later.